going to offer like two practices that are very personal to me that, anybody could use if you're open enough to it. So I work a lot with energy, and do energy healing work with lots of different bodies. And I always start my sessions with my hands in a prayer, right? Well, actually there's a little bit more. There's like a whole like ritual around setting space, setting an intention, a prayer, and then like right when I'm approaching the table, then I'm connecting with my hands, more focused. And so it's really simple. You can do this with me. Is we're going to bring our hands together and we're going to start rubbing them and generating heat. And sometimes I like to, when I'm like tapping into this energy, when I start to feel like that little ball of heat build up into my hands, then I begin a cycle of 3 breaths. So when you feel that, you can bring yourself through 3 cycles of breaths that feel very natural in your body to do. And when those cycles of breaths have done, and you want to slowly just peel your hands away from each other, so create a little bit of space and notice the buzz in between the hands and sort of like pulling them apart or bringing them close together. Like right now, it doesn't want to go close together for me. You can pull a little bit further. And I take this energy and then I start to place it over body, and I just like see where it goes. So for me, it's like right here, and I can feel that there's some stagnancy and energy around. So with prayer and intention, and this is all intuitively led, then I start to kind of move my hands in a way where it feels like I'm beginning to unwind whatever is like here. And then I'll just take that energy and I'll bring it to the earth. And I go back and check if there's anything else kind of in that space.
That's cool. So as a practice, for someone who's maybe new to that, what are some recommendations that you would have for just developing the practice and maintaining it over a period of time?
Practice. And practice with a friend, a partner, someone, a safe person, or even with a plant. And just begin noticing how energy is communicating to you. And for some people, like they might just like, they might actually feel something. They might see something, hear, smell, taste, know something. And it takes practice to sort of just trust that initial but keep leaning into it and just kind of notice where you're being guided. And a lot of it is like kind of having the soft, open, diffuse receptivity, non-attachment, non-judgment around wrong or right. Especially like if you're working like with yourself, like allow yourself to receive what you're communicating to yourself, right? And keep leaning into that, practicing that, like, and then after that, maybe a 5-minute practice, take some notes and ask yourself, like, what did I notice? Like, how do I know what I noticed? And it could be like, where did I feel this in my body? What indicators do I have? And like, just you'll start kind of logging and like understanding, like, this is the way that your intuition is communicating to you.
So just to bring that to life a little bit for myself, anybody else, just as a model. So when we're doing the hand rubbing, and you like spoke to like when you start feeling like the ball of heat, like I immediately went to like questioning myself. Like, do I feel a ball of heat? And then I'm like, okay, like, well, I feel friction. I feel like things are heating. Okay, I feel things are heating up. Cool. Let me start my 3 breaths. And then when we came out of that and we're then like holding holding the energy and like feeling it, like that feels like more of like a comfort zone for me, where it's like I feel like I can, like I actually have done like a lot of just like noticing energy between my hands, and so it's something that like that feels comfortable and like accessible for me. Like, oh no, I actually feel like really, like I really feel the like the resistance between my hands, of like my hands actually want to get further apart, and there's a lot of tingling, etc., like very palpable. And then when you invited us to go like put our hands somewhere, like again, I immediately, like my critical brain was like, oh, where do I put them? It's like I need to find the right spot. And I started like going somewhere, and it was like, and I could feel like the energy like lessening, like it was like kind of like dissipating in my hands.
Mhm,
And I
mhm.
had this quick insight, like, oh, my left quad and hip were feeling kind of locked up earlier. This was like my mind like kicking in with just this quick insight. Wasn't like feeling anything, and I immediately switched over there. And as I did that, the tingly sensations in my hands came back,
Cool.
and I was able to just be with that, and like now I feel things in my hip and in my quad, which is just interesting to me.
Mhm.
And so I reflect that all just as a like these are some of the things that I noticed.
Right. Cool. And that's good. And I actually thank you for bringing up that piece where like immediately we went into your head when I had said like, just like tap into that ball of heat. It might not show up as a ball of heat for you. For me, it usually does. And when you're rubbing and creating fiction, there tends to be heat that comes there. But let's like kind of open it up and like just create a little bit of space. We have like somewhat a foundation of like things to sort of like tune into, and that's where like the compassionate, like non-judgment, like space holding of just like, okay, like it's not heat, but there's something there, and we'll let that be. And the mind might want to come in depending on like how aggressive it is at the moment of like it wasn't that, and then just like take you out of the game. And that's where the work is. Like that's also a practice of developing your intuition, is like noticing when that happens, and that's okay. Doesn't mean you're not intuitive or like you got it wrong, but that's where the practice is.